In this video, I'm going to record my second macro, that is formatting. So I will format a cell, then I will record a macro, then I will run a macro, then the formatting will be repeated by the macro itself. So let's me show you. Go to Double tab, go to record macro, let's name it format cells. So you can store your macro at three places. First one is this workbook. This workbook means the open workbook in which you are working. I am working in the record second macro workbook. So my macro will save only in this workbook. I cannot perform my macro to another workbook. So the second one is new workbook. If you want to store the same macro in new workbook, then you can click at new workbook, and the third one is the last option, which is personal macro workbook. Excel has backend, so it allows you to perform that macro in every workbook. So basically, this is the database of Excel. It will store your macro in the backend and perform on every workbook. So let me store this workbook only. Format. This time I'm giving the description again. The cell purpose. Click OK. Oops. The name rules is not followed by me. Click the underscore. Click OK. So I'm going to format my cell to dollar, decrease decimals, then black, then font color is white. Developer tab, stop recording. So let's perform the macro here. Alt F8, run. The formatting has been done. So let's move on to next step, which is saving of macro. If you are using the Excel 2007 version or later, then you have to save your workbook as save as macro enabled workbook, either macro enabled workbook or macro 97 2003 workbook. Since 2003 version allows you to store every set of workbook in single workbook. So if you are using XML workbook or binary workbook, that is already inbuilt in 2003, but the later one has been split into various parts. So click on this, escape. So click S. See, this is the issue which I was trying to tell you. If you will not save your workbook as macro enabled workbook, so your macro will go on next time. You will not able to use that macro again. Then you have to click no, this PC, then macro enable workbook, or I oops macro enable workbook, then click save. Now control S, the error will gone. Error has gone. So this is the second one. So let's try our last macro, third macro. So let's build a data here again. I told you I will create every data in front of you. So let's try. Here's my name. Employee ID is 402. Then the language is English. Then the second one is Rahul. ID number is 405. Language Hindu. I am going to record a macro in which I will cut this cell and paste it here. Cut this cell and paste it here, and I will delete these three rows just like that. So control Z, control Z, control Z, press escape. So let me copy this sheet. I will tell you why I'm copying this. Move and copy. Click OK. Create a copy. Then OK. Rename the sheet. Sheet 3. OK. So let's record macro. Give the name as crunching. Click OK. Go to cell 1. Then here. Then cut the cell. Then paste it here. Then cut this cell. Then paste it here. Then delete this cell. Then go to up, down, stop recording. So this macro will going to produce some errors. Let me show you. Control Alt F8, run. Can you see the error? What has been done by the macro? Macro is, let me show you again, Alt F8, run. Alt F8, run. So you can't simply rely on a recording. So let's record this one again, this macro again, same, but use relative reference now. Basically VBA is also have relative and absolute reference like Excel. So use relative reference. Now you record macro. This time relative reference, here is the short note on relative reference. You can read that. So record macro, crunching 2, crunching 2. Again we are going to make an error, name error. Yep. Now okay, click on cell 1, cut this cell, paste it here, cut this cell, paste it here, then delete. These three rows, control minus, and stop recording. Let's perform Alt F8, crunching 2, run. Can you see the difference? What is relative reference doing? So basically relative reference allows you to move on different location. I am focusing on macro recording because my 90% of the lecture are basically dependent upon the macro recording. In every video I'm going to record a macro and tell you the code of macro, because you are not a programmer, you are just a learner. So you have to ask your computer why I'm doing this, not yourself. Why I'm doing this? Let's try again. Alt F8, then crunching 2, then run. My dataset has been ready. So Control S is for saving,